What is going on, everybody? My name is Conor Lawler. Welcome back to another week of Hero or Zero. This is the Heroes for Hire podcast. We are back again talking one comic book character, as we do every single week. We talk their good points and their bad points, and we generally just give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character. I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Mr. Shaun. Me and Shaun, how's it going?
Good, Conor. Happy last day of September to everyone. Tomorrow, officially spooky season.
Oh, it's getting autumnal around here.
Hell yeah, bitches.
I'm getting my scarves. I'm getting my pumpkin spice lattes.
Scarves, cardigans. I don't actually like those lattes, and I find the scent to be overpowering in a candle, so I don't know what to do with the rest of the season.
I'm not a big fan of cinnamon.
Oh, so you're fucked until Christmas at least.
Oh man, I'm done. I'm out of here.
How are you with mixed berries? How does that treat you?
Fuck off with your mixed berries.
What just festive cheer can they deliver? Gingerbread. How are you about gingerbread?
No, I'm not having gingerbread.
You have no soul. You have no soul.
By the way, this is so funny. I know this is the start of the episode, but can I just clear up that I would eat anything, but weirdly it's just Christmas and Halloween based foods.
Yeah, just anything that's in like a harvest festival you're not mad about, apparently.
I'm against it. But Shaun, this is Hero Zero, so this is the show where you normally choose Marvel characters.
I do.
And I normally choose DC characters.
You do.
But within that is we normally choose the characters. But this week,
that's part of the job.
Week.
It's part of the job to choose your own character, Conor. You can't let other people do the work for you.
This week I took the week off. I must admit, Shaun. Kieran messaged it on Instagram, and we absolutely love it when people recommend characters for us to do at Hero Zero. Saves us having to look them up.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong, folks.
Because we're dumb. And he was asking for a bit of a brief overview of a Green Lantern. Now, when he said that, my heart broke, because we all know we do this show to cover characters that are a bit smaller. Maybe the episode won't take 2 hours to cover all of their stories, and we all have a lovely time. But Kieran chose Kyle Rayner, who is, of course, the Green Lantern from the 90s, if you will.
Yeah, he's like quite a popular, quite a well-established Green Lantern man.
Yeah, and so I had to sit through quite a lot of stories and sift and get rid of them. So it's going to be a brief overview. I do apologise. If you're a massive fan of Kyle Rayner, I might not pick on every story he's ever done. I'll try and hit the big ones while we're here.
Okay, we'll get the headlines, and then you can do your own reading after the fact, maybe.
He's a green lad, right? He has a ring. He's Love up to development. That's all you need to know.
Can you explain it in Fortnite terms, please?
No.
Oh, okay.
Genuinely, I can't.
You know what? Fair play to you for sticking to your guns, Conor.
If you could give us a like and subscribe, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, it would really help us out. We've got hundreds of these episodes covering lots of comic book characters, so if you've got a favourite, we've probably done them. You just head over to heroesforhire.ie and they're probably there. Just search for it.
Lovely plug, Conor.
Thanks very much. But Shaun, we're starting with, as I said, Kyle Rayner, created by Ron Mars, Bill Willingham and Darryl Banks, and his first appearance was in January 1994. Now, the 90s in DC comic book, Shaun, they were a weird fucking time.
Strange era for comics. Very extreme, I've heard.
Oh, to the max, right? So, I mean, you had Superman dying. Superman, of course, dies in the 90s.
Yeah.
Batman's spine no longer perfectly shaped as Bane breaks it over his kneecap.
Yeah, those are two quite big events in DC Comics.
And also, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern of, many years, had gone crazy.
Oh, was this after they put his girlfriend in a fridge?
Shaun. That's not Hal Jordan.
Is it not?
Girlfriend's in the fridge.
Oh.
This is why we do the show.
Oh, because genuinely, I was mistaken. This is a great feeling.
So here's the thing, right? Hal Jordan, he was Green Lantern for so
decades.
Long, right? Like 30 years, I think, maybe. Yeah. Don't hold me to that. But his sales in comic books were gone very far down because they just basically didn't know how to write him. He always just made a big boxing glove, and his comic book sales were not very good. He was kind of too clean cut There was
no edge
cookie
to him.
cutter, and he always just like made the most boring shit in the world whenever he was fighting.
He had a lot of willpower, so he could use the ring, but he had shit imagination, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so what normally happened was him and Green Arrow would just appear in other people's comic books for a little while.
Right.
Until the 90s came along and Extreme came in and they decided, we got to do something with this. And their big plan was that they were going to get away from like the square-jawed, serious character of Hal Jordan, and they were going to bring in maybe a different hero. And so what they did with Hal was something very interesting. Hal, his whole city gets destroyed, right?
Just off the bat.
Well, I'm just going to start with that because it'll take too long to explain what led up to that. His whole city gets destroyed. And so Hal Jordan uses his ring to rebuild the whole city and just recreates it. So everything is fine. Everyone in the town is dead and all that shit, right? He just like recreates it.
Okay.
And of course, Green Lantern Corps, the lads at the top, they're not happy with this. The Guardians, they're like, you can't just do that.
That's against the rules.
You can't just rebuild life. And he's like, well, why not? Everyone I like is dead. And they're like, well, still, it's just on looks, bud. That's kind of the vibe we're going with here. So Hal, not a fan. And he decides to basically go fucking mental and ends up like turning on all the Green Lanterns, just going through them. I think he kills Kilowog.
Not Kilowog.
Kilowog.
We love Kilowog.
Kill the Wog.
Oh,
right?
That's disrespectful. Come on.
It's terrible to the pig man. But yeah, he goes mad and he leaves the whole Green Lantern in disgrace. Kills all the Green Lanterns. There's nobody left.
Jesus.
Right? There's just nobody. There's no Green Lantern in DC.
Okay.
And so, rather than a stalwart hero, what they wanted to do was Kyle was a random guy, right?
Okay.
With unrealized heroic potential, rather than all of the choices where they're like, you're the greatest pilot in all of America. You get this. You're the greatest man of all time. Kyle's just a dude. And
interesting.
He gets chosen because he's just a dude by sheer chance for the Green Lantern Corps.
The ring just like finds him, or like he's statistically the most average man.
Statistically. So Kyle Rayner is a struggling graphic artist in Los Angeles, son to a Mexican-American father, Aaron, and Irish mother, Maura Rayner.
Fucking hell. On you go, boys.
And you fair play to you, boy. Kyle's infant life was spent with his parents, constantly on the run. Aaron used the military as a cover. In truth, he was a CIA agent, so his dad was a CIA agent, right? When Kyle was 3, his father leaves, leaving just his mother in charge, and his father just never comes back. And him and his mother settle in Los Angeles. And so, growing up, completely normal childhood, completely normal. Like, he has a girlfriend. As I said, he's just a graphic designer. He's in Los Angeles. But Kyle first witnessed a green shooting star moving upward in the sky while on a nighttime beach date with his girlfriend, Alexandra Dewitt. Or Alex, as people call her. The shooting star was actually the famed Green Lantern Hal Jordan, who had been driven insane by the destruction of Coast City and went on a murderous rampage, as we have discussed.
As we've all gone on.
He destroyed the power battery, the Guardians of the Universe, and the Green Lantern Corps, did Hal. Only one Guardian remained, named, and I'm going to butcher this, Gantet, I think it is.
Might as well be.
And he survived. He's the only one that survives Jordan's rampage, and he reforges the power ring as the Green Lantern Corps' final legacy. He's like, right, there's only one ring left. I only have enough power for one ring. We don't have enough for a whole corps anymore.
Just one dude.
Just one dude. That's it. So Gantet travels to Earth, appearing in an alleyway outside of a nightclub, and he encounters 2 humans. One is a drunken homeless man, and the other is Kyle.
Oh, And he looks back and forth between the two.
And the homeless man's like killing children. Well, I don't know. But yeah, so Kyle had just been in the nightclub and had just walked out to get some fresh air. And he had spotted the same green falling stars before, so he just kind of went to check it out. He was like, oh, that's fucking weird. So he goes to check it out, and it's Gantet. And the Guardian thrusts the final ring into Kyle's hand, muttering, "You will have to do," before disappearing.
Man, that's not the inauguration ceremony you really want, is it?
No, but it's also, I think it makes Kyle Rayner I think he's my favourite Green Lantern because of that fact. Because he's just a guy who just gets this power, and it's up to him to be heroic. He's not heroic by nature. He's got to muster up the courage. He's just like every one of us.
Just a regular dude.
He's just has great power now. And now he has great responsibility.
I was going to say the great responsibility line as well.
He does actually kind of remind me a little bit of Peter Parker as well sometimes, which is not a bad thing. No. And so, obviously, he disappears then. And putting on the ring, Kyle found himself dressed in the standard Green Lantern uniform. So he's transformed into Green Lantern. And he says the line, "Oh man, I think my life just got a lot more complicated," which is classic comic books.
I think I've seen that panel before.
But wait till you hear this though. The best part of all this, Kyle Rayner didn't know anything about the Green Lantern Corps. He lives in Los Angeles. He doesn't know anything about Green Lanterns.
I didn't even think of that wouldn't be like common knowledge of this spacefaring team.
I think he's the first legacy hero in terms of like taking over from the previous, where he doesn't know who the previous people are. Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah, because it's not like Hal Jordan came up and was like, "Hey, here's the story. Here's what we're all about."
Yeah, or like Batman passed it to Robin.
Yeah,
or like Superman to Superboy. Or Wonder Woman to Wonder Girl, or like anyone who takes over a mantle eventually, or like a sidekick.
Yeah, the original usually becomes like a mentor kind of thing.
Yeah, and so Kyle goes immediately back to his girlfriend Alex's apartment, and he shows her the ring, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?
What's happening here, lads?
What's this?" Immediately ruining the secret identity thing. And he also shows her his new powers, and the two of them make a plan. Kyle would be a superhero, and Alex would photograph him in action, giving both their careers a much-needed boost.
It's quite Spider-Man-y with the whole, like, we'll take photos of the superhero that you are.
Kyle had trouble at first with controlling the ring due to obviously not knowing how it worked, but with Alex's guidance and support, she did a bit of reading to try and find out what the whole thing was about. She's like, "I think you can make things with your mind." And he's like, "Oh, cool."
Class.
he just tries to make things.
This is like the 90s as well, so it's like she just like looked up newspapers and stuff like that.
Yeah, properly, yeah. They went to the library, and what's the machine called when you go back to the old newspapers?
Oh, I have no clue what it is.
It's in the middle, and they always use it. I can't remember what it is. Phototech? No, it's not that. He quickly learned basic GL abilities like flying and constructs. However, there was much confusion over his identity, as he was wearing the Green Lantern costume Hal Jordan was wearing.
Right. So
everyone's like, "Isn't that guy that killed everyone?
Isn't that psychopath?" No, I'm a different Green Lantern.
So he's immediately associated with Hal. Alex brings this to Kyle's attention and urged him to make his own identity, leading him to redesign his costume to better fit his personality, which between you and me, Shaun, I think he has a much cooler suit. He has actually a few really cool suits, but I think his Green Lantern one it's a much better fit. His first week at the job is not an easy one, as he has to deal with Mongol, who believes him to be Hal Jordan, who Mongol has just fought Hal Jordan. So he comes to Earth and is like, "Where the fuck is Green Lantern?
I know he's here.
Fuck him up." Right? I know he's here. This guy pops out and he's like, "I'm going to fuck you up." And Kyle's like, "What did I do?
I'm a graphic designer."
What's going on? So he came to fight Hal, but instead settles for any Green Lantern he finds. And Kyle was in trouble before the unexpected arrival of Superman. And the two worked together to fight Mongol. And Superman was astounded to learn that Kyle had no idea about who Hal Jordan was, or the Green Lantern Corps, or the suit of what he was wearing and what it meant, or what the ring meant, or any of the history. And he's like, wait, hang on.
What's happened here?
This is a mistake. Despite the long-standing weakness in Green Lantern power rings to the colour yellow, Kyle defeated Mongol by hitting him with a freight train. And Superman, he earned Superman's respect from that.
Well, you really hit the shit out of that man with the train.
I was going to do it. I was going to pick up a train full of people and hit him with that. So we're like, but you saved me the hassle.
Same train of thought. Well, train of thought, you know. And then they're best friends.
Following his victory encounter with Superman, Kyle began to feel pretty good about himself and was settling into his new life as a superhero. But unfortunately for him, Shaun, tragedy was about to strike.
I think I know what's about. I think I spoiled it.
Shadowy forces within the government had obtained a fragment of glowing green metal from the homeless man found in the alley. So a bit of the ring had broken off. The homeless man had picked it up. And so the government had found that. And they were like, what the fuck is this? This is weird.
Yeah.
And so when Kyle received his ring, the government then sent the villain Major Force to find this new Green Lantern. So it's like, find them, track them down. What's going on?
Because is this as a result of Hal Jordan going insane? They're like, we don't want...
Yes, they're like, we can't have any more Green Lanterns. Right? So they get Major Force in. They're like, right, he lives there. He lives with Alex, Shaun.
Lovely Alex.
Major Force turns up to lovely Alex's apartment. Alex, by the way, great character. In all of her first 4 issues... It really reminds me of Gwen Stacy.
Oh, funny how that happens.
Yeah. Since she had published her photos of Kyle as Green Lantern, so they knew they were associated as well.
Right.
And so when Kyle returns home from another successful mission, everything's going well, he finds Alex, he goes to the fridge to get some out, and this is the very first ever fridging of a character, which has of course become a really famous term nowadays, but it basically just means when you use a female character to, like, her death powers on the male story is the thing.
Yeah, because Alex was created just so that she could die and be put in a fridge so that Kyle could get angry.
So the idea is that any character, and you see it a lot in movies, you probably don't even know you're seeing it until someone actually calls it out. It's one of those. But it's like, you see it a lot where it's like, this female character is only there to die. So then the hero has another journey to overcome. The sadness.
To avenge her and to become better themselves.
And so this is the thing that started all of that. He found Alex brutally murdered and her body stuffed in the fridge.
That's insane. That's quite early in the new Green Lantern origin.
Like 4 issues in.
And then to just be like, and now this is a trope in comics forever.
And Kyle didn't have time to grieve, as when he closed the door, Major Force is right to the left of him, and they just start beating the shit out of each other.
So Kyle's understandably on the back foot at the minute.
He's obviously he's shook. He shooketh, is what I would say.
He shooketh.
The two began a brutal fight, and Kyle appeared to be winning before his ring ran out of energy, allowing Major Force to gain the upper hand.
Does it run out of energy, the ring?
Yeah, it does. But however, Major Force then presented Kyle with the glowing green energy fragment and demanded to know what it was. And of course, the fragment goes straight into the ring, powers it up like a battery,
hits him with a train.
And Kyle decides to make another train. He goes, choo choo, bitch.
I'd love if that was his MO. Like, in his backstory somewhere, he's just really into trains, and so he just smashes everyone with a locomotive.
Choo choo, motherfucker, is what he shouts really loudly before he kills you. I think that's the main thing.
Right, that's his like Excelsior that he shouts.
But yeah, exactly, yeah. And so he then, fully charged, he decides to defeat Major Force and demands to know who sent him and why he murdered Alex, only to be confronted by the government, who are like, it was them who did it. You know what I mean? They're like, why are you wearing the Green Lantern suit? What are you up to? Yeah. What's going on? Like, what's the story here?
So the government is the real villain, is what you're saying. That's what you're shouting about here.
I wouldn't be one to say that. Of course, I wouldn't be one to say that because, of course, it's true. But yes, the government, they're sneaky. They're sneaky devils.
They are sneaky devils, Connor.
You can quote me on that, Sean. You can quote me on that.
Oh, that's on the tombstone.
And so when he gets back to his apartment, the very original Green Lantern Alan Scott is there, and he fills him in on the Green Lantern course. Hal Jordan and the legacy Kyle had just fallen into. So that's how he learns all the exposition.
Right, now he gets his mentor kind of thing. He gets all the backstory after his girlfriend is fridged.
And so he's just basically overwhelmed by all of this knowledge.
Yeah, and once it's been like 3 days.
Yeah. And his girlfriend's now dead in the fridge. And once he knows it all, he's like, I don't know if I'm up to it. Like, he's just a normal dude. He's like, I don't know if I have this in me.
Yeah.
But then he decides that Alex would want him to continue. So he charged on in her memory, basically.
Right.
That's the idea of the start of his story.
Okay.
And so what was really interesting about all this was he was introduced. And what I will say is, like, as I said, Green Lantern wasn't that big. Like, Hal Jordan's last few years, they were all right. Wasn't fantastic. What happened now is that the JLA was announced. So Grant Morrison, one of my favourite ever runs in comic books, came in to do the JLA, so the Justice League Association, in 1997. And he decided to put Kyle on the team, on the starting 7.
Wow.
That we're going to start, which is a really big deal for this new Green Lantern who had just come in 2 years previous.
Yeah, but it kind of gives him a level of prestige at that point then.
Exactly. Like, that's the idea. So DC were like trying to get Green Lantern back up and running. They now had a cool new Green Lantern. He was liked by people. Kyle Rayner was a good character. He was likeable. He was funny. And now they're like, right, let's put him in the JLA, Grant Morrison's brand new run, where it's relaunching and it's everybody's fucking going hammer and tong, and he's part of the first 7. And that really, like, exposed them to, like, a massive audience at one time.
Yeah.
And he was part of the team in the very first JLA story with the White Martians coming down.
Yeah. Your favourite story of all time.
One of my favourite stories of all time. It's, there's a whole group of heroes. They come to Earth and all the JLA are like, well, where are the heroes? Who are these guys? Turns out they're all White Martians. Then they all decide to capture all of the Justice League members except for Batman, who they say, he's just a human. What's the fuck's he gonna do?
Yeah.
And Superman says the famous line, he's the most dangerous man on the earth. What have you done?
Because he is. Like, he's just a man, but he goes, like, toe to toe with gods.
And he sets, like, he puts a lot of petrol in a big circle and sets it on fire, so they have to fist fight him in a circle of fire, which White Martian's weakness is fire. So he just ends up kicking the shit out of all of them by hand to hand. Because
that's who Martian Manhunter is. He's one of them. He has the same powers and things. So, wild. Absolutely wild.
It's such a good story. But yeah, Kyle Rayner's part of that team that's in that storyline.
That's huge.
And it's in this period, Kyle will gain the respect of Batman, who had previously had a bad relationship with all the previous Lanterns.
But Batman having a bad relationship with everyone. Basically just means Batman has met this person.
Yeah, but he has a respect for Kyle.
Is that because he's a regular man that he's just like...
I think it's a little bit of that. Yeah, I think it's like, he's just a dude who doesn't take himself too seriously. And like Hal Jordan can, as I said, square-jawed. Like, this is it, Captain. This is what we're going to do.
He's like Superman, Captain America kind of a thing.
Yeah, whereas Kyle Rayner is just like a dude and he's just like tried his best.
Yeah.
And so, like, Batman gets a bit of respect out of that as well, I think. And the next story I want to touch on is a very, very big story, Sean. And I think it's one of the biggest glow-ups in comic books that I really wanted to let you know with Kyle Rayner. Because Kyle is obviously Green Lantern for years. Everything's going well. And then an entity known as Oblivion comes to Earth. And it is revealed that it is the embodiment of Kyle's fear, which he created unknowingly when he received his ring. Okay. And so this guy Oblivion, he's a fucking, like, nobody can stop him. The Justice League go to fight him, they can't get him. They bring Power Girl, the Atom, Firestorm, Adam Strange, everyone they got, they all attack him, nobody can stop him. And it's down to Kyle. Even Kyle, I think, brings in all the Green Lantern cores in his mind. Like, he brings in like the spirits of them.
They have a mind fight?
Like, he's like fighting them and he still can't get them, right?
Okay.
And what happens is, Kyle, he has released the hate in himself, which is what Oblivion is, right?
It's kind of like the Sentry. Like all the dark thoughts and dark emotions.
The cool thing is that Oblivion, this is just real for me and you. I know me and you will only be into this line, right? So it's his fear or it is hate that releases Oblivion, and Oblivion is modelled or drawn as the same as a drawing of a villain Kyle drew when he was a kid.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I knew you would.
Because in his mind, he's like, no, that's the scariest thing.
Yeah, because when he was 7, that's what he drew as the biggest villain. And so now it's his fear come to life in this villain form.
That's cool. That's quite cool. I like that.
I knew you'd be into it, because I read it and I was like, Shaun, like that. I like that.
Because we're both nerds.
And so they've got basically no hope, right? And the reason that... What then happens is Kyle brings in all of the energy that he can, right? And... what made this version of... And he becomes a thing called Ion, which I'm going to need you to get on board. Right?
I'm already on board.
Ion is like Parallax, which is what Hal Jordan became when he was evil. Mm-hmm. It's Oblivion, so it's all of his hate, all of his anger, but then all of his light stuff, all joined together. And they realise Kyle has a blockage in his mind, like that's stopping his creativity. He's got blockages in his mind.
But he's a graphic designer, Connor.
They release the blockages. He becomes a god. Right?
I'm sorry?
I'm talking he makes Superman a regular human being in terms of how powerful he is.
Okay.
Yeah. Like he gets the power of a god and he becomes a character called Ion for a while.
Okay. Is he like an amped up Green Lantern, or is there extra things added onto it?
So Kyle's ability to embrace his fears and rage permanently, as well as gaining the total sum of the energies of the remnants. You're going to get it. So he gets all of his hate and rage that powers him up. Okay. He also then gets the remnants left from the sun because of Hal Jordan.
The sun?
The total energies by the Guardians of the universe, and full access to the central power battery, which is something that fuels the universe. And he gets it all in one go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This sounds... Okay, if I'm going to try and put it in Marvel terms for myself, is that there's a thing called the power cosmic. And it's just basically... It's granted every so often, and it just gives a power. It just turns any character into a god, essentially.
As Ion, Kyle was nigh omnipotent and omnipresent, even saying before his fight with a character called Nero ended that the power of the universe was flowing within him. He actually, during this time, made some drastic changes to the DCU itself. He healed Jon Stewart's back so he could walk again, and he started giving other characters their powers back if in storyline they had lost their powers. He was basically God.
Wow.
And yeah. So, like, one of my favourite moments of this is that, like, he goes to the Justice League headquarters. Mm-hmm. And he can see the structure, all their heartbeats, and everyone within it, even just from looking outside it. And he can also read everyone's mind simultaneously. And my favourite bit of all this is that an alien Space Armada appears on the screen. Okay,
dude. Okay.
So they appear on the screen in the Justice League Centre. John and Bruce fucking pop up, right? We're going to suit up. Let's go to the spaceship. Kyle just turns around and just goes, don't worry about it. I've already stopped it. And they were like, what? He's like, oh, I stopped it. I stopped it before the Flash and everyone else in the tower even noticed it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's just like... in the middle of everything, he's just like No, there was an issue.
He can be in multiple places at once.
Of course.
So he's in the tower, and then he's also in space fighting the Armada.
Of course.
Before they get there. To the point of that, he decided that he said that he didn't have to reveal his presence to the aliens, and he could have disarmed them without making an appearance, but he wanted it to be known that Earth was protected in case they came back. So he made himself present and then defeated all of them.
He basically just flexed on him and was just
exactly.
There's more where that came from.
And like it's been revealed like afterwards. So what happens then is that in a show of true character and his will and what he has learned, he basically figures out that nobody should have this power. Like, nobody should have this amount of power that he has.
That's interesting. I like that.
And so what he does is he gives up all the power that he has. He becomes a god for a while. Yeah. And then he goes to Gantet, the guy who gave him the original ring. And he's like, the power's too great for one man and it needs to be returned to all of its rightful places. And he returned all the power back into the central power battery, and in the process he created new guardians that he had like sucked into himself.
Yeah.
That he was like, create new ones, I just want to be a Green Lantern, I don't want any of that stuff.
That's so, if he wasn't, I feel even with all those powers and he realised that, I feel it's because he's just a regular man at the back of it all. That's why he was like, no, this is too much. Because
anyone else would be like, yeah, I'm God. Now I'm God now. That's pretty cool.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
And this is why I really like Kyle Rayner. And the last one I wanted to cover, and it's a pretty big one, is that Kyle was the very first. And one of the biggest problems in comic books is Franklin Richards, is it not, Shaun?
It is indeed. The reality warping powers.
So what happens when DC, he gives up all of his god powers, but then they ran a story called New Guardians. And what happens in this is that all of the ring bearers, the red ring, blue ring, pink ring, yellow ring, they're all decommissioned. And the rings all basically, the people who are wearing them currently, so in DC, all the rings represent different emotions. So like red, anger, yellow is fear, all that stuff. But like
pink
they all
love?
I think so. Yeah, I think or compassion or something
like that.
So
something stupid like that.
It's something stupid, right? Don't like anyone, right? But they basically represent the spectrum of feelings,
right?
And so what happens is nobody has ever in the history of time been qualified to wear them all simultaneously, except for one man.
No.
Because the decommissioned rings they track the rings that have been decommissioned, and they all ambush Kyle. As the combined powers of all 7 rings, Kyle is able to hold his own against all of the Guardians. Because like he now has every single ring at once, becoming the White Lantern is what he becomes.
Because all of the colours
together.
of light, when you mix them together, make white.
So he's the White Guardian.
Ah, okay.
He's the White Lantern Corps. And his suit, by the way, fucking sick. Unreal, right?
White Lantern suit.
What they decided to do was they give him, he becomes this White Lantern because all the rings chose him. Once again, not a power he goes out to try to find.
Yeah.
They all just come to him. There's great comic book panels of like all the rings on his hand at once.
Sorry, that white suit is fucking rad as well.
Slick, isn't it?
Oh, it's so slick. Lads.
But like, so he has this ultimate power. But DC ran into a problem, Shaun, because they wrote this just around the New 52, but before Rebirth.
Right.
Before they rebirthed it again. And you have a big issue when one writer writes them into this and they become Franklin Richards, basically, because he can do anything.
Interesting.
It's like, it's literally, he can key into whatever emotion he's feeling. And there was even a moment where he goes around to all the different he goes around to all the different owners of all the different rings previously to harness each power, because you have to master each power to become like fully capable,
fully proficient.
So like
in that ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like willpower, the green one he has down, right? But he needs to master fear, master anger. There's a great one where he masters anger, where he goes, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like beating the shit out of him, and he's like trying to get him angry. He wants him to be angry, and then he starts insulting Alex and being like, Alex was a fucking bitch. Like, they go to the graveyard and he like shows him the grave. He's like, get angry
Jesus.
so you can master it. And then you see Kyle is just like, I'm not angry, I'm just sad. Like, that doesn't make me mad. That just makes me sad that
I'm sad that this happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so but he masters all the emotions at once and basically becomes once again godlike in what he can do. But this time he's chosen.
Okay, yeah, I get, that's really cool. I get how it's a difficult thing for a writer to then maintain going forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of powers and ability, Shaun,
I mean,
everything.
Yeah, like once he's a god, it's just every power he has, basically.
So when he's normal Green Lantern, he's normal Green Lantern. There's also so many stories that I left out here. I really tried to touch on the big main ones for Kyle, the ones where he becomes a god, the ones where Alex gets stuck in a fridge. Right? But, so like when Kyle is a White Lantern, his power comes from his ring, which is genetically keyed to his DNA. His ring lets him use all the powers from all the emotional spectrums, making Kyle the most powerful lantern to ever live.
Jesus.
And so
I didn't expect this, for like the second Green Lantern. You know,
I think he's the third one after Guy Gardner.
Oh,
no,
sorry.
he's the second one.
So, but there is the original one before Hal, isn't there?
There's Alan Scott, then there's Hal Jordan, then there's Guy, or is it Kyle?
I don't know.
I think it might be Kyle then, and then Guy.
Yeah, but I didn't expect, Kyle Rayner, the everyman. I guess it kind of fits that the everyman is like eventually becomes a god.
And then he gives it all up, and then somehow they all find him again. I think but by the way, I'm saying this like it didn't happen story after story, so he gives up the godlike power, and then like it might be 10 years in real life.
Yeah.
Like 10 years in comic books pass, and they're like, it's pretty cool when he had godlike powers.
The rings nice
find him at once. And also, really cool, small thing, because he's an artist, he can build the most amazing constructs.
I didn't even think of that. He's probably got the most imagination.
Exactly, that's why.
That's such a good character thing. That's amazing.
I'm turning him on to Kyle Rayner.
I'm a Kyle stan, boys.
So in terms of powers, he's got animating, reality manipulation, he can teleport. This is when he's the White Lantern, by the way. He's got healing, so he's got matter manipulation, artificial intelligence.
Where's the threat?
Super straight. There is no threat. There is no threat. Like, there's this. By the way, these powers go for fucking ever. Yeah. Think of every power. Like the one where he solved the whole armada of alien spaceships while still being in the room with Batman. I'd be like, oh yeah, don't worry, Bruce, I solved it.
Like that sounds like the most powerful DC character you've covered. I think is Superman Prime, and it sounds like he'd put up a pretty good fight.
I think he might beat Superman Prime. I think Superman Prime. Oh, it'd be a close one. It would be a close one.
Yeah.
But to tell you his power level, when he was Ion, he went to meet the Spectre, who in DC Comics is probably the third most powerful character of all time, like in the whole universe. No, it might be the second one behind, like the God himself. And so, like, the Spectre and him are kind of viewed on the same level. Like the Spectre talks to him like they're equals.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, and does he now? Like, how did they write it that he lost all these powers then? 'Cause presumably he went back to being.
So no, when after New Rebirth they did a whole new storyline. But what he did here was when he had all the powers, which is one of my favourite things, is that he actually created a whole new Green Lantern Corps and created all the new rings again. Because remember, he was the only Green Lantern for a while. So when he got this great power, he shared it around. When he created all the new Guardians again, that's when he released and he created all the new rings so everyone could be Green Lanterns.
Right.
Who all qualify again. Because Hal Jordan had killed them all. Let's not get into so in terms of powers, I'm just going to list these off. I'm not going to get into them. Energy constructs, flight, invisibility, mind control, mirages, phasing, power absorbing, probing, recharging, ring duplication.
He can make more rings.
He can make more rings, Sean.
Just make more friends for himself.
He can just make more rings, which nobody else can do. Spying, weirdly. Temperature control, transforming, electromagnetic scanning, wormhole or warps, healing, energy twin, pocket dimensions, subroutines, force fields, and the list keeps going for another little bit. Mental incapacitation, ability to kill, recharge. Oh, sorry, his weaknesses, I do apologise. The ring cannot be wielded correctly if the wearer is under the influence of drugs or if there is an involvement for alcohol of some sort.
Makes sense.
But, I mean,
not really a threat.
God.
Yeah, like you could just you could hold off on the glass of wine until after you're done being God, maybe.
Yeah. So in one of his other weaknesses was his ability to kill. So like Sinestro has the fear ring, and he's like able to kill, whereas Green Lanterns are unable to kill. But he doesn't have that anymore because he overcame.
He just got over it.
I'm just built different, he said. And that's not, by the way, this is all just his White Lantern powers. I haven't talked about his Ion powers. Which included, I should say, time manipulation, reality altering, matter manipulation, immortality.
Yep. He's busted. He's busted as a character. He makes no sense.
Similar to his best friend Wally West, Kyle loves being a hero and was able and finally confident in his future once he became a Green Lantern. He says, my name is Kyle Rayner. When I was a kid, I could never decide what I wanted to be when I grew up. Now I know. I'm a Green Lantern. I want to be a hero. That's what his personality is like.
Oh, so he found his purpose later in life is his whole thing. Like
he was just kind of floating. He didn't know what he wanted to do. And then he's like, I want to help people. I want to be better. And then when he got the ultimate power, he's like, yeah, but this is too much. This is too much for me.
I know my limits. I know what I'm capable and able for. It's kind of like how we do this podcast, that makes us heroes. That's what we decided.
But we are unemployed still.
I mean, in the eyes of, our families, definitely.
And all of our loved ones, and maybe like some of our old teachers.
But like cool. Me and you, happy output.
Fucking cool boys.
Gotta go get something from the fridge real quick.
Oh no!
Oh dear!
This yogurt's got out of date.
That would be in like a Harley Quinn style show. That would be a really good joke where like Kyle Rayner just keeps going to the fridge, and he's rattling, and he's every time he needs food, he's like terrified.
We're out of milk. But Kieran, I hope I covered all that in the most succinct way. I've turned Sean into a Kyle Rayner stan. Kyle Rayner's a very, very cool character, and between yourself and myself, my favourite Green Lantern, probably by a good distance.
Who's the one with the bowl?
I just think he's the most relatable, weirdly, because even though he's a god,
but he's a regular man god,
He got the ring because he just went to a nightclub and just came out for air one night, and then he was just like, yeah, you'll do.
He was the best option at the time.
But that's it for my report on Green Lantern Kyle Rayner.
Very good report, Connor. Would you like me to take us out?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Hero or Zero. We will be back on Monday with Movie Mondays, Wednesday with Weird News Wednesday, and next Friday with another episode of Hero or Zero. Big thank you to everyone over on the Patreon who keeps the show going every single month. There is a link to that in the description, or it's patreon.com/Heroes for Hire podcast if you want to donate over there. There are other ways to support the show. There is the merch store, heroesforhire.ie/shop. Twitter is @HeroesForHirePod, the 4 is the number 4. Facebook is Detective Devilment's discussion group. Instagram is Heroes for Hire Podcast. And the best way to ever help out the show is to tell one human being that we exist.
Just a one, please.
I think that's about it, Colin.
I think so. So I've been Conor Lawler.
I have been Sean Meehan.
And we shall talk to you all next week.
Bye.